Welcome back. I'm Chris Moore with HVAC ProBug, and this week I'm excited to present a new training on 5 best practices for scheduling service during peak demand. Without further ado, here's the training. All right, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Number 1, I'm going to say is have a written policy. If you don't have a process written down and well communicated, then there's nothing to manage. This could be why your staff loses their collective minds when the phones ring off the hook. Responding, which is reactive instead of proactive, to times like these usually creates a volatile work environment. Loss of customers, missed opportunities, and worse, employee turnover. You need to create a process for your service coordinators, sales coordinators, all of them. And a personal recommendation, include them in the formation of these rules, plans, or goals. Then the team will be on the same page, working to hit the same target. If you find something isn't quite working correctly, or you're missing a mark, then solicit ideas from the employees on how to fix the process. It's that easy, right? Number 2, how to prioritize these calls. I've heard this policy in several iterations, and it pertains to scheduling service calls and sales calls. This is important that everyone in the service department can communicate the priority with customers and agree on the breakdown or the order of importance. So priority number 1 would be an existing customer with no heat or no cooling. This should be pretty self-explanatory. This is a customer that you have already completed maintenance for or is still under a labor warranty that has a system down. With this priority, we also designated 1A for commercial, 1B for residential. Don't get me wrong, we had empathy and took certain circumstances on a case-by-case basis. Priority number 2 would be an existing customer that's looking for maintenance. We would always support our existing customer base first, and this promoted our maintenance program, the loyalty, and just candor. We would simply explain that we have some customers without heating or cooling, and we would handling these emergencies first, but then we would be able to complete your maintenance. This was a great opportunity to remind our customers earlier in the year, before the severe heat or cold, that our schedules have more availability at that time. Priority number 3 would be a new customer without heating or cooling. As long as we have the ability in our schedules, new customers are always welcome, right? It's new business. We would plug these into our gaps daily as they came in when things were busy. Most of these calls turned into return trips for maintenance and building energy savings agreements programs. Now, of course, priority number 4 would be a new customer looking for maintenance. This was our lowest priority when everything hit the fan, right? Hearing that my competition couldn't handle the maintenance or didn't offer a planned service program was music to my ears. Of course, we would be honest about our schedules and priorities, offering them the next available block for new customer maintenance. Sometimes it was more than a week out. All right, best practice number 3 would be to only service existing or maintenance customers. This was a common benefit for us selling energy savings agreements. Priority or night and weekend service for agreement customers only. We no longer took additional customers at the overtime rate, dealing with lack of maintenance and inheriting other companies' issues if we didn't want them. So, how did we do this? It's easy. Sir, I noticed you're not a current maintenance contract customer with us. We provide priority service for our current customers that we have already completed maintenance service for. Can this wait until Monday when I can confirm that we will have you on the schedule from this time to that time? Since some jobs take shorter than expected, I can add you to our standby list if you'd like. This focus on our existing customers strengthened our relationships, which came with tremendous and unexpected loyalty to our team. Our maintenance program flourished quickly, giving us the chance to flatten demand during peak service without overloading our technicians or overstaffing. When everyone else was waiting for the phone to ring in early spring, we were taking appointments for commercial and residential maintenance on work that was prepaid. Then, when other companies were responding to the insanity that is the first hot or humid weekend in New England, we had the capability of handling new customers. All right, tip number 4, leave Fridays light. I know, right? Where I came from, we used to call them F up Fridays for a reason. Projects during the week can run long, and they were likely quoted at a normal hourly rate. Overtime pay can be a concern for some small businesses, and this unexpected cost was most typical for my department on Fridays. If this was a consistent concern, and it shouldn't be, you need to revisit your costs of doing business and your hourly rate. Also, institute a policy for other than warranty work, that if you're being paid overtime, the service tech should be charging overtime rates. There's nothing more crushing for the morale of the service department than unexpected calls coming in late on a Friday during the summer months or just before a holiday weekend. There's typically one person that is on call that would be expecting these. As the service manager, I would cover any additional service needs that the on-call technician couldn't handle. Good thing too, this is how I met my wife. That's a long story that would be a bit off topic, but I like to tell it during my in-person classes. Ask me about it sometime. All right, number 5, adjust your work weeks or your daily hours. When things started to get busy, we always had a technician or two that had a tough time making it to work on time. I get it. Working 50 plus hours during some weeks can be tough, no matter your age. But reliability is one of the key character traits for anyone successful in the HVAC industry. Depending on family situations, marital status, spouses that work, kids in school, after school activities, maybe no kids at all, there were different motivations for flexible hours or work weeks. I've heard some companies offer 4-day work weeks. Keep in mind that's 10 hours a day, and stagger them so the whole team receives 3-day weekends. Imagine that. 4-day work week option number 1 might be Monday through Thursday, let's say 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. 4-day work week number 2, to stagger them, would be Tuesday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Here's how we addressed it with our technicians that always seem to have an issue waking up on time those mornings. We would adjust the workday hours. Technicians are required to work at least 8 hours, 5 days a week. So, if the technician has a habit of being an hour or two late, we would plan the schedule around that. This would extend our normal service hours without paying or charging overtime, offering service calls now between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. If the technician wanted to work 7 a.m. to 3:30, our normal hours, we'd schedule accordingly. The first call would be at 7:30, there'd be morning calls from 8 a.m. to 11, after lunch, there'd be a first call from 12 to 12:30 time frame, and then of course 1 or 2 calls in the afternoon between 1 and 3. It's pretty standard in our industry for that sort of schedule. If the technician was known to be less reliable in the morning, or maybe preferred to work 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., we'd schedule this way. The first call would be 9 a.m. to 9:30. They'd have 1 or 2 calls 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. In the afternoon, they'd have at least 3 calls, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Creating an environment where your employees love their job offers the company reliability and an atmosphere that is not very hard to talk about. Yeah, it's true. Technicians will speak to each other when waiting at counters for parts or outside the supply houses these days because of, let's say, COVID. A great test for your company is to ask yourself, what would my technicians say about us in that environment? Would they listen to the typical frustrations, staffing, or lack of support complaints and say, me too? Or would they say you're crazy for not wanting to work here? Our team has it down. And let me list all of the things we do differently. All right, what did you think of the 5 best practices for scheduling service during peak demand? If I missed something that you guys have implemented, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. If there's one thing out of those 5 that you are going to implement, tell us. I'd love to be able to look back and consider this the day that you made the change that impacted your business for better. Thanks again for joining me this week at HVAC Pro Blog, where we provide advice for residential system design, quality installation, and system diagnosis. And today, a little bit of business. I'll see you soon.